What is going on, you guys? Petplatypus here, and it is time to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable, Episode 20. Before I talk about this episode, I should probably talk about the previous arc that I skipped when it came to my reviews, the Harvest arc. It's a no, dude. It's a no, man. Like, that whole arc is just no. I don't like the plot. It's very mundane. It's very basic. We don't have money. We're gonna go try and find money. Some scenes are pretty funny in there. I do like some of the creativity towards the end with putting the alcohol in their blood, and I like when Josuke fixes the pipes and him and Okuyasu come up on the pipes all posed up. Like, there are some cool moments in the episodes. There are some funny moments. Another funny moment was when Josuke was he sees the ticket as a winning ticket, but he's like, wait, hold on. Well, he can't even breathe and shit. He's just like, hold on, we got to double check real quick. Like, that was very funny. But overall, the biggest problem is, aside from the somewhat mundane storyline that isn't that interesting, the stand user is just one of the worst characters I've ever seen. And it's not even from an objective standpoint. It's purely just my opinion. It's purely my bias. I just don't like this character. He has an annoying voice. He looks horrible. His stand isn't that interesting. He has a horrible personality. He's just unpleasant to all the senses except for smell and touch. Thank God I don't have to smell or touch this guy. Like, seriously. Like, his head has spikes on it. He's fucking weird. His voice is annoying. All that stuff. I already said it. I don't want to repeat myself, but the stand user himself really brings down the arc. But there are some funny moments, and it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but yeah, I didn't really think it was. I didn't think I'd have enough to say, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't think the reviews would have been very interesting, because basically everything I just told you in this last, like, 2 minutes, that's pretty much what both of those reviews would have been, which is kind of not a lot to go on, so I decided not to review them. But anyways, this episode. You know what's funny? I actually prefer this episode over the last two, and I was trying to think, why do I? Because it's very similar in the sense that it's a pretty mundane, not that interesting of an issue. It's just like, oh, I want to get Koichi to like me, so I'm going to change how I look. And we don't even focus on one of the main characters. We focus on Yukako. So I'm just kind of thinking, like, why do I like this one more? And I think it's because it pretty much does everything the last arc did, but better, except for maybe comedy. Like, the stand itself. Like, okay, you have Harvest. It's just a bunch of little fucking weird things. Like, it's not that interesting in terms of abilities. This thing, it looks cooler in my opinion. It's got this cool robotic design, and it changes people's faces and changes different body parts out. But what I like about it is, while that's a fairly standard power, that's nothing super creative, the way it does it is really cool with, like, the hand slider thing. I think that's a really creative way of depicting it, and a lot more interesting than Harvest. And then you look at the stand user themselves, and you have Shigechi, or whatever the fuck his name is, and then you have this bitch, the Cinderella bitch. What was her name, like Aya or something like that? Obviously more appealing to look at. Obviously way more appealing to look at. Not even because, like, she's sexy or whatever. Like, just, like, Okuyasu is more appealing to look at than fucking Harvest Kid. Like, it's just, it doesn't even matter if she's sexy or not. It's just more appealing to look at. Less annoying personality. Yukako is a funny character, and it's only one episode. That's, like, the big thing, is when I saw that this was only going to be one episode, I was kind of just like, yes. Like, I was like, thank you. You did not need to split this into multiple episodes. And thankfully they did not. They did have to cut out the opening and ending, but still, they fit it all into one episode, and it was paced pretty well, so they did a good job there. Though I will say, objectively speaking, I think this episode has a pretty bad ending. I feel like I feel like Koichi, like, I'll get into it a little bit more, but I feel like he was pretty out of character towards the end of this little arc. And I don't really feel that that was an issue with the previous arc. The previous arc I just didn't like because of the character that was involved in a lot of ways, but, like, this one I do think, objectively speaking, has kind of a problematic ending. But I'll get to that in a second. What did I like about this episode? Well, starting off with the technical aspects, the story progression is rather weak. I mean, this character will be involved with something pretty damn important, but for now it's just sort of, I mean, I can't say it's a filler because it's, like I said, this character will be involved in an important situation later, but it comes across a little fillerish. You know, the plot itself doesn't really have anything to do with the main story. All I really will say is introducing Cinderella, like the shop and everything, that's important. Everything else involving the story is not that important, except for maybe, like, Koichi and her getting together at the end of the episode. But again, I'll get into the problematic stuff in a bit. But yeah, there's really not a lot of story progression. I mean, I guess world building for the town. The shop is there. The shop being there is pretty big for the story, as far as moving a set, as far as moving a chess piece a bit. But yeah, it's not super compelling in terms of story, and it's not really super plot heavy in terms of Diamond is Unbreakable as a whole. So the story progression is just sort of okay. In terms of pacing, it's just sort of middle of the road. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. It's fine, and that's pretty much the pacing. So nothing really to say there. And as far as art and animation goes, the art in this episode's really, really good. It's actually really, really solid art. A lot of the poses are really, really well drawn, and the art in general looks nice. Of course, it's a great episode to look at if you're a guy, I suppose. But joking aside, the how do you describe it? The stained glass style like backdrops they would put when the stand users talking about the whole fairy godmother Cinderella fairy tale stuff. Those looked really, really nice. The last shot, the to be continued thing, which is my thumbnail, and all the others in the episode looked really, really good. So from an art standpoint, I thought it was great. I thought a lot of the shots looked really good. One little, caveat, catch to the art, which I'll get into in the negatives, but overall the art was pretty great, and the animation was serviceable. It didn't really need to be anything spectacular, and it wasn't. It was fine. So that was the episode in terms of the technical aspects. Now, as for stuff I didn't like, starting off with the artwork, she doesn't look different. Like, that's something that I noticed in the episode that I don't think was a problem in the manga. I mean, maybe it was the same in the manga as the anime, I don't really remember too much, but I feel like she looked more different, which is not good grammar at all, but I feel like she looked more different in the manga than in the anime version, where in the anime version it's like, okay, maybe her eyebrows are a little different, and then, the chick is like, all right, now we're going to alter your whole body, and it's like, okay, and then she comes out, and then she looks the same, and it's like, all right, so, yeah, it's not like it's a placebo thing. It's not like it's just tricking her into being more confident. It is changing things about her. There is a drawback once the luck wears off, and then that kind of brings us to the, and that's the only time she really looked different, obviously. But that brings us to the luck thing, and Koichi falling in love with her. I didn't like the ending. When Koichi comes in and she says, I want him to pick the face for me, whatever the face is, I'll be happy with it. I liked that. That was good characterization for her. It shows that she really genuinely does like Koichi a lot, and whatever he picks, she's cool with no matter what. That was fine. But when Koichi is like, yeah, if her face isn't very appealing, you can go ahead and just slash my eyes so I can't see her, I'll just be blind. Like, that seemed very out of character, and it's not like he was under the spell anymore, if there even is a spell, or if it is just pure luck influence that made him fall in love with her, I don't know. But him falling in love with her seemed very rushed. I feel like the whole cut the eyes thing or make him blind was going way too far, kind of out of character, and just overall the ending with them getting together. It's not a romance series, so I can't harp on it too bad, but... And I don't think this arc gets... not arc. I don't think this gets focused on too much in future arcs, but... Yeah, I just didn't feel the ending. It felt very random. It felt sort of out of character. Very rushed in terms of, like, them getting together. Again, unless it is just, like, he genuinely fell in love, but it was sort of kick-started by her luck and the influence of the face changing. But even still, it just seems sort of out of nowhere for Koichi to do this. So yeah, I don't know. The ending I think is sort of problematic, but again, it's not a romance series, so I can't harp on it too bad. And yeah, I do think that her looking not very different once the face swapping happens is sort of a letdown. Again, it could have been the same in the manga, but I feel like it looked a little better in the manga. Also, the faces being everywhere and her having to pick her own face, they all look the same. She's talking like, oh no, my eyes are more narrow or blah blah blah, and it's like these all look identical. At one point the eye colors are different, obviously you can roll those out, but yeah, it's just, they all look the same, so, I think even a couple of them were actually copy and pasted, which is fine. I mean, it's animation, you gotta cut corners here and there. I understand how hard animation is. I'm actually working on an animation right now that I hope to show you guys in the next, month or so. I'm giving myself a good window, because you guys know how I can be on fucking releasing shit. It could be sooner than that, though. But yeah, I'm working on an animation, and yeah, it's fucking hard, so I don't blame them for wanting to copy and paste some of those eye panel things, but yeah, I feel like that could have been better. I feel like the changing in appearance and stuff could have been depicted better. But the episode still had really good jokes. I love her crossing the street on the red light and just saying, "Shut up, it's the red light's fault." That was really funny. She has other really funny moments throughout the episode. Her whole character, I just love her Koichi tunnel vision and just her stubborn nature, and she's headstrong, and she's just a really funny character. She reminds me of a more psychotic Boa Hancock. I actually think Boa Hancock from One Piece was actually probably inspired by this character, especially when you look at like the attitude they both kind of have, how they're both madly in love. Well, one's more psychotically madly in love, but they're both madly in love with a character that you wouldn't really expect an attractive female to be in love with, like Boa Hancock with Luffy and her with Koichi. Like, Koichi and Luffy aren't exactly like the pinnacle of fucking male attractiveness, so yeah, I think there is some inspiration there, and since she does remind me of Boa Hancock in a lot of ways, I do like the character. But yeah, that's pretty much the episode. It had some funny jokes. I thought it was better than the Harvest stuff. It's nothing crazy special, but it does set up a couple of cool things for the future. And overall, I definitely really liked it. So I'm probably going to give this one, still, even though I really liked it, speaking objectively, it's not like a phenomenal episode. I really can't give it anything higher than like a 7.5. Just a good episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So with that being said, what did you guys think of this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? You can tell me in the comments section below. You can also follow me on Instagram or add me on PSN. I'm petplatypus on both. You can also give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media. Both those would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already or if you like what you've seen here. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.